The content in this magazine could contain references of topics and difficult subject matter that may be triggering. Please honor yourself, inner knowing, and proceed with whatever help or guidance you feel is intuitively aligned. Welcome to Sovereign Magazine Podcast. I'm Nicole George, CEO and founder of Sovereign. I'm so happy you are here. We are the magazine podcast and community guiding 5 million women to their sovereign selves. From heart-led conversations to magical meditations, our inspiring guests will show you how they can help you step into your sovereign self. Are you ready to listen to your inner voice and step into your power? Then keep listening to hear all of the intuitive messages meant for you today. Today, I have the privilege of reconnecting with Chris Melville, our amazing personal empowerment coach here at Sovereign. Chris is a seasoned transformative coach and certified rapid transformational therapy practitioner. With over 30 years of corporate experience, she is passionate about empowering women to overcome mindset challenges and build thriving businesses. With deep expertise in personal empowerment, Chris supports others in boldly claiming their power. Welcome, Chris.
Hello, Nicole. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy you're here today. So for anyone who's listened to Chris's previous podcast interviews, we're going to do something a little different today. So definitely stick around for the end, okay?
I'm so excited to do this.
I am too. Okay, so today we are exploring the deep relationship with yourself, which is the theme for our May full moon issue. And in your article, The Self-Trust Solution, Rewrite Your Beliefs to Transform Your Business, you talk about how there is a lack of trust that many entrepreneurs hold and can lead to some indecision, burnout, maybe even some need for external validation within themselves. And you talk about how the most limiting beliefs usually tend to stem from childhood and some societal conditioning. And that in order to work with that mindset, you might need to do some rewiring. And so I'd love for you to start out by sharing with the audience maybe perhaps why you think so many business owners struggle with self-trust and how it impacts their business.
Sure. So I think there's a lot of reasons why we struggle with self-trust. And I've come into my entrepreneurial journey from a different perspective. I've spent 35 years in the corporate world. So I am used to always having other people to go and bounce ideas off of or being told what I need to do. You know, that whole kind of like stay in your own lane and you do what you're told to do. And that's what you're judged on as far as your performance goes. So if you've come out of the corporate world from a job, there's a whole re-education of yourself that you have to do, where you have to understand there's nobody who's going to come along and tell you what to do. There's nobody who's going to come along and tell you that you're doing a good job. You know, and nobody going to come along and tell you, oh yeah, this is exactly the decision you should make. And you have to start learning to trust yourself. The other thing is, and it's a big problem for women when we talk about the societal conditioning that we have, but, you know, as women, we're brought up in a world that doesn't really value our voice quite often. We all know that if you're sat in a meeting with a group of men, that you can have an idea, and quite often another man will speak up like 5 minutes later and he'll take the idea, and all the other men will look at him and go, great idea, Joe. You know, and you're kind of sat there going, well, hello, my idea. We're not heard. And how can that not teach us not to trust ourselves? Everything around us is telling us you're not, there's a lack of validation that we don't get it in the way that men get it. So we have that to overcome as well. And as far as how a lack of self-trust affects your business, it can make you play small and safe. It can stop you taking risks that you need to take to grow. It can hinder you from making any decision about your business. So you stall, you can't move forward. It just affects your business in so many different ways and at every different level.
Yeah. I definitely have seen all of these things you've mentioned going from corporate world,
Mm,
nurse manager to entrepreneur for sure. And I think I can definitely identify with the fact that not only was I personally conditioned, but also saw it in the corporate world where even though I was in a predominantly woman industry, if you will, your ideas aren't always valued, and like you said, the men in the room definitely got more validation and time on the mic, if you will, to speak. And so, I would love to start to help women validate themselves in new ways. You mentioned how, we don't have that person coming around saying, great job, when we're a solopreneur or an entrepreneur, right? So maybe you can give a few ways of where we can validate ourselves instead of looking externally.
yeah. So the first thing I'm always going to say to anybody, our brain makes up stories, right, to keep us safe. Our brain does not care whether we're happy or not. It cares that we wake up the next day, that we have food, that we have shelter, that we're safe from predators. So we have to understand that we have to teach our brain that it's okay for us to change and to make decisions that will need to change. And we can use that as a tool as well. It's like our brain believes the stories that we tell it and the pictures that we paint it. So when these thoughts come up, when and your little negative Nelly in your head starts talking, just take a second to don't just automatically believe it and go, oh my God, yeah, just take a step back, acknowledge the thought, and then question it. Where's the proof? Right? Okay, maybe if I have to make a decision, I've never made a decision, I've never made this exact decision before. When have I been in a similar situation and I've had to make a decision and it's worked out well for me? So it's learning to kind of question what you're hearing and then start looking for the proof. And quite often, when we are doubting ourselves, we think it's just kind of a lack of confidence or it's just who we are. But a lot of times it comes from you just don't have the experience or maybe the education around what you're trying to do. So there's a piece of the puzzle that's missing that has nothing to do with you. It's just a missing bit of that puzzle. It's like that last piece of the jigsaw puzzle when you've done the whole thing and that one piece is missing. Always happens, right? That's not a you issue. That's a, hey, okay, this is the problem. I've never been in this situation before, and I don't feel like I have enough information to make the decision in a rational, logical, methodical way. So let's go out and identify ways that I can fill in that puzzle. And it might mean I go off and do some market research, or maybe I have to go out and look for some ways of learning it through a book or a podcast or a video. Or maybe I'm going to go and find somebody in my business network who's been in a similar situation and say, hey, I'd love to hear how you did this. And just gather in information from other people. Sometimes we can't make a decision just because we don't have all the information. There's nothing to do with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, definitely. Are you ready to be part of the movement of guiding 5 million women to their sovereign selves? Are you a woman who trusts her inner voice and is stepping into her power? Then subscribe to Sovereign Magazine, podcast, and community, where you can become part of our global community because your journey to empowerment starts here. I think I would love to go right into our new segment, Steps to Your Sovereign Self. And you and I are going to do a little role playing because this segment, right? We want you to become sovereign in yourself, and each of our contributors has a different way to help you step into that sovereignty. So I'm going to role play as an entrepreneur today who has an incredible amount of deeply rooted lack of self trust in herself. And now we're potentially facing a recession. So, what do I do?
Right. So the first thing, I mean, let's hum this down a little bit more. Give me one specific problem that is worrying you about the recession with regards to your business.
I'm worried people are going to stop making their payments because they can't pay.
Okay. What we would do first is we would start looking at some other options. All right. Can you structure the payment schedule in a different way? Okay. Can you potentially look at trying to drive more people to pay in full instead of taking a payment plan by giving them a discount if they pay in full, or potentially by loading the back end of a payment plan? Could you have them pay more in the first couple of payments so the risk to you gets less and less? I think if you're struggling with self doubt, the real question here is, are you worried about how you broach this with your existing clients?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So then I would say to you, have you researched how other people in a similar business to you structure their payments? What kind of a contract do they have in place in case people don't pay?
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
When you can come to people with evidence of how other people are doing something, it takes the pressure off of you as a business owner. It's not, hey, I told you that you were going to pay this way. Well, I'm changing my mind now and it might make me look flaky or it might make me look unprofessional. It's kind of like, I've had some time to look around, and given the current economic climate, I see everybody around me starting to protect themselves. And I'm sure that you, as a small business, can appreciate that me, as a small business, needs to take some steps to protect myself. I've checked out what my competition are doing, and I feel that what I would like to suggest to you is fair. And then you just suggest it. You don't backtrack. And this is where, like, learning to trust in yourself is so valuable. It's like, I'm going to tell you this. I've researched it. I know what people are doing. So I feel validated in that offer that I'm giving you. Right. And then they have the opportunity to come back and say, well, actually, I don't think that, or I can't afford it. I don't think it's fair. And then you can work from there. Because the hardest part is always just starting the conversation.
Yes, definitely. And I think if I had that conversation, I think the first time would be really, really hard. And I probably would be telling myself some stories. So, how could I maybe try to coach myself through the moment or rewire some of those stories that I might be telling myself in the moment when you're kind of not in my pocket guiding
Yep.
me?
So again, you go back to questioning that story that's coming up. Let's say you're getting ready to go on a call with somebody, and your voice in your head is telling you, you don't have the right to do this to them. You promised them one thing and now you're backtracking. You're not being honest. Because I know honesty and integrity is so important to you. So you're going to start questioning your honesty and integrity and how your clients will see you. Will they trust you anymore? And where's the proof of that? Where's the proof of that? If you can say, I've done the research and I see other small businesses like myself working to protect themselves, then I have every right to broach the conversation and break it down into step by step discussion. It's like, I'm not going to sit there and tell them this is the way it is. It's going to be more of like, let's have this conversation and see where the conversation
Yeah.
goes. Take the
Yeah.
pressure off of you to get a certain result.
And I feel like what you're giving me in terms of advice is really taking baby steps to relearn and rewire the trust within myself and questioning those limiting beliefs. Like you said, anytime a feeling might be coming up, I can ask myself, is this a valid story? Do I have proof? Can I find proof in a way that feels good to me? Some people might be more conversational in their research versus doing, market research type of thing. And so I really feel like you're giving everyone more practical steps today on how they can feel they can trust their inner voice and have less external validation towards their business and trusting themselves.
Yeah. And I think another really good point to this is try and think about how it could benefit the other person. So if you're sitting there saying, as a small business person in this economic climate, I need to make some decisions. They could turn around and get off that call with you and go, you know what? Maybe it's time I started thinking about how I'm protecting myself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always a great place to put yourself in as an entrepreneur is putting yourself in your client's shoes. What are they receiving? I'll never forget when you were doing our International Women's Summit about 6 or 8 weeks ago. You talked about things moving from know, like, and trust more to a feeling seen, heard,
Yeah.
and valued. And I loved that tip because when we look at our offerings and when we look at what we are providing to our clients, are they feeling seen, heard, and valued? It's not just about getting to know us, liking us, and trusting us. It's really what are we providing for them? So I think that your practical tips today have been incredibly invaluable. And if anybody is looking to get to know Chris more, know more about personal empowerment, self trust, limiting beliefs, all of her details are in our show notes. Don't you worry, you'll be able to find her. And as well, she has her own private community in Sovereign Community. So go to community.sovereign-magazine.com. You can connect with her there. She has weekly office hours. She is available to you to help you work on your self-trust and rewiring your brain. So thank you so much for role playing with me today.
Well, thank you.
All right, my lovely. Have a good one, and we'll see you on the next episode.
See you then.
Thanks for listening. This is the last episode for this issue. I'll be back again on the new moon with another soul-led entrepreneur here to help you step into your sovereign self. Subscribe to our magazine and podcast and join our global community for all the magic. Details to connect with today's guest or join the movement are in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a review. It helps us reach our goal of guiding 5 million women to self-sovereignty.